2 points. First, the UDAW has yet to be finalized, is only in a draft form, and the purpose of this motion is to urge the government to involve itself in the continued development of the text and to support it. Secondly, the UDAW is a non-binding resolution. Its purpose is to persuade other nations without animal protection legislation to put some in place. The development and support for a universal declaration on animal welfare does have an obvious relationship to the cruelty of animals legislation, but will not have a cause and effect relationship. As I mentioned before, the UDAW is a non-binding resolution. The passage of UDAW will not force any changes to our animal welfare laws that we do not as a nation choose to enact ourselves. As for countries such as ours, where we do have animal welfare legislation, it would provide an excellent opportunity for us to review current legislation to identify areas of improvement. We know that an update of our own animal welfare laws is long overdue, but that some work has already taken place. A great deal of legislation has been introduced and debated in this House over the past number of years. Sadly, of all that legislation introduced, only S-203 was successful in becoming law. While critics say that bill doesn't go far enough, something I concur with, I do think it was a small step in a positive direction. It is my hope that this motion can be another step to influence not only Canada, but the international community as well. A universal declaration on animal welfare is not a conclusion, but a beginning. It is a signal that as a global community, we recognize the importance animals have in our lives and the positive impact they have to our way of life. It is a demonstration of our understanding that treating animals humanely is a benefit to our entire society. Supporting a UDAW is a simple, moral, and principled action Canada can take with ease. I strenuously urge all members to support M354. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments, questions et commentaires. The honourable member for Notre-Dame-de-Grâce-Lachine.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
A colleague from Scarborough Southwest to explain why she states that should the Canadian government help develop and adopt a universal declaration for animal welfare, or a UDAW, that indeed it's not binding.
The honourable member for Scarborough Southwest.
I'd like to thank my colleague for that excellent question. As I stated in the speech, it isn't binding. It's a resolution. It's an understanding, and it's an acknowledgement how we as a nation feel about the welfare of animals. Canada is led in so many areas, in so many ways, and I think it's time we got with the program in this. We are so far behind. In as many years, we've had 8 animal bill rights introduced in this House, and all but 1 have passed. I think this is an excellent start. It isn't binding, but symbolically it says everything about us as a nation.
Questions and comments, questions et commentaires. The honour. Questions et commentaires.
Questions and comments. The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I enjoyed listening to my colleague's speech about the motion which is being considered today, but I'm having trouble understanding how her speech fits in with what her political party has decided to do with respect to Bill S-203. Unless I'm mistaken, Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Party and the New Democratic Party are opposed to Bill S-203. Of course, it didn't go as far as we would have hoped, but it would at least have put an end to the status quo. So why is the Liberal Party moving this motion today, and yet at the same time failing to ensure that the proper legislative measures are put in place?
Southwest.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for the question. With respect to that one bill, it was a Senate bill, S-203, and was extremely misleading in that it would lull Canadians into think that we were actually accomplishing something. For the most part, all parties were disappointed in the fact that it lacked any kind of depth or had any teeth. This is a resolution, this is a commitment that we're looking for that hopefully will be heard around the world. Something that we believe in as a nation, and that's protecting animals, protecting something that has no ability to protect itself.
Questions and comments? The honourable member for Burnaby Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague from Scarborough Southeast, or Southwest, sorry. Southwest, sorry. Got to get those directions right. For introducing this motion this afternoon, and it's one that I have an interest in as well. I wonder if she could say a little bit more about how this might influence the debate in Canada around animal welfare. We know it's not a binding resolution, the UDAW, should it be adopted, but how might this raise the level of debate in Canada around animal welfare issues? What might it bring to that discussion that will be helpful for us when we finally get around to modernizing our animal cruelty laws here in Canada? I think we know that that needs to be done. We know we've been disappointed by the efforts to do that in the past. So how can this international discussion influence our discussion here in Canada?
There are 30 seconds left for the member for Scarborough Southwest.
I'd like to thank my colleague for that question. With 30 seconds left, I think it raises awareness in an issue that hasn't received enough spotlight. I think it will also bring about discussion in terms of transport of animals and also health safety, given the fact that we're dealing with the H1N1 that was called swine flu. I think all of these things come into play, and what this particular motion will do is give this whole issue the spotlight it deserves.
Resuming debate.